Rotary in Liberia began in January 1964, and this was, 2014 was the 50th year. So Rotary as a service to our community is well known in Liberia.
I think that Rotary can be a quick responder. They can be a first responder. As I mentioned, we're part of the community. So we know the people that would be involved from school days, from family days, what have you.
And the crisis had only begun July 1. As all of us know when this really happened. In July 1, we were just hearing about this thing called Ebola. It was the second round, and we didn't think it was going to be any worse than the first round. And the day of my induction, which was July 4th, I put out an appeal at that meeting to say we must respond as Rotarians. Something is happening in our community, and let us respond. What we would like to do is to give gloves to the Ministry of Health and to the health workers so that they can better protect themselves. At that meeting, I asked for an appeal. We wanted $1,000 so that we can buy 10,000 gloves. We got the $1,000. And we then handed over 10,000 gloves to the Ministry of Health. That was the first appeal, and we thought that that would be okay. That's what we thought. By the end of July, we had an epidemic on our hands. And the club decided that we would set up an Ebola response committee.
Well, it's a question when your home is on fire, you try to put the fire out. And I think that's the basis that Rotarians do get involved.
And our challenge was that the Ministry of Health was overwhelmed. This was something that they had never seen before. They never had such a crisis like this. And we said, so what do you need?
We needed beds and beddings and other medical supplies, and we could not get those things in stock, and the Rotary Club was able to provide us beddings, mattresses, special made mattresses, and we supplied them at the ETU in JFK. Even what is now called Ewa 3, we had to even supply them some mattresses because at the time they never had mattresses right here in Monrovia. So through the Rotary Club, we also provided them some mattresses. Then we also established what is called the Island Clinic ETU. And again, through the effort of the Rotary Club of Monrovia, we also supplied the initial mattresses there. There were distribution of medical items by the Rotary Club to the Redemption Hospital.
We were at a very disastrous position, because actually what was happening was that we needed immediate assistance to be able to provide the necessary protective gears, to be able to provide the necessary protective environment for the patients and the staff. The Monrovia Rotary Club stepped in, and when they stepped in at that time, they also asked us through the period that, look, we want to help, and how can we help? So we sent a list of essential items that we needed, and it was in no time when they brought those items.
When we set up the Ebola Response Committee, we then began to get requests from Rotarians around the world. How can we help? What can we do?
Even when those ETUs were built, it reached a point we never had beds.
They said we need mattresses, we need food for people that are in the hospitals. We need buckets, we need chlorine. And so we were responding with the monies that we had from our club and some from Rotarians around the world who were sending us money to be that overnight response. Much of the support that Rotary has given has been in awareness. When we speak of awareness, it's what should you look for in your community when it comes to Ebola. So it was the awareness message, but it was also we're taking something to you to protect yourselves. We're taking the buckets and the chlorine, hundreds of buckets in many communities.
And then later on, we saw in the newspaper the Rotary Club of Monrovia giving people things. We saw them on TV. They came and gave us clothes bags, other Ebola materials.
But not just the buckets, the chlorine, because that's what it takes to stay safe. And it was small buckets, it was 55-gallon drums with all depending on the sizes of the communities. And we found over time that it's the awareness that changed behavior. When the situation happened and Ebola became a crisis in Liberia, what we saw in the Rotary Club of Monrovia were ordinary Liberians doing very extraordinary things.
For Youth Foundation, we started off with the awareness like everybody else did. And then we thought, let's take it a step further. And so we got the idea, we'll start treating people at home, in their homes. So we started treating people, we got the drugs, we gave some to them, to the hospital, and then the ETU. And then we embarked on this idea of the Ebola home care service. And at the conclusion of it all, we were able to treat over 7,000 persons. Rotary heard of the work we're doing, and they contacted us. And they were one of the donors that really, really impacted the program, because they came at a time that we really needed them.
Basically what we do in kids engagement is we realized that a lot of the children were home as a result of the Ebola crisis, the compulsory closure of schools. So what we did is that to come together and produce activity sheets for the children that we would give out to them weekly, go back after a couple of weeks to check if their parents made time to work with them. The intent was to keep their minds engaged academically since schools were closed indefinitely, and all of the things we provided for them were free of charge. So we needed support to continue this initiative, and that's how we wrote the Rotary Club of Monrovia, who were very, very, very responsive. They contributed about $1,500 to our project, which helped us reach about 500 children in 2 communities.
We're also undertaking projects to make a lasting impact on the health sector. One is with regards to scholarships. We're working on scholarships for health workers and social workers who in the initial months were very much affected through unnecessary loss of lives. We're also looking at the oxygen plant for the referral hospital in Montserrat, the JFK hospital. Of course, as we know, there are many children who have been lost 1 or 2 parents that need to be cared for. They need to look at how they're going to get school fees when schools reopen. So we're also looking at support for that.
Rotarians, thank you for what you have done in your support to the Ebola response. When we in Liberia asked for your help, for your support, you came to our assistance, and lives have surely been saved.
Our nurses and doctors are dying, that who would treat us so. Our mothers and children are dying, now who will love us so. United we stand together, we can. Yeah, let's stand as a team to protect the land.